One of the best games ever created, in my humble opinion. Summoner was a very special game. I remember when the PlayStation 2 first came out, we could tell it had potential. Now, when it initially dropped, there was a very long period, like it has a record for most sold, what, worldwide? Something like that. I'm not gonna speculate, but it holds one of those damn records. But when the PS2 first came out, there was a period of time when it first came out that you couldn't get your hands on shit because and it wasn't their fault. It takes time for game developers to design stuff um, for the masses. If you reflect back to when this first came out, I don't know, it just seemed to take a lot longer because I was losing hope. And then it was just like a long period of time. One, two things come out, you get those, you play through those, and then everything is just it's just you kind of in limbo. And then at a particular time, a particular year, bam, 100,000 things should start coming out. We can go into that another time. But when it initially first came out, oh no, But one of the first games that were ever advertised to go up for sale for the PlayStation 2 was Summoner. Summoner had come out, and it don't take much for you. I've said this before. It don't take much for you to get me. It don't take much for you to convince me. You just have to make sure that that's whatever you selling, you sell shit out of it. And usually in the form of some type of trailer, commercial, whatnot. We deal with more with trailers online nowadays. And back then, it probably wouldn't sell if it didn't have a TV spot. And compared to the rest of television, like real life commercials and whatnot thing going on, you really got to put some money into a trailer that's dynamic enough to fuck everybody up, even people, even other things that don't. Final Fantasy VII and the television trailer for The Legend of Zelda, The Ocarina of Time. They weren't competing with other game companies. They were competing with everything else in life that normally gets a commercial. They were trying to, like, oh man, like people who didn't play games were looking at this like, I think I gotta get, what is that on PlayStation? I think I'm gonna have to get me a PlayStation, play that because that looked kind of good. Like the commercials were on a different level. The commercials were everything. So that one, Final Fantasy VII, Ocarina of Time, those had some of the best TV spots that like really, really caught your attention. So another one, probably to a lesser known degree, is the Summoner. Summoner had a TV trailer that was just out of this world dynamic. It was freaking beautiful. Not necessarily in like the graphics, although at the time these were superb graphics. They were out of this world, next level. They were everything. Okay, but the delivery was something else entirely. So you had the game, you had the game trailer, which, and I'm separating the two because the trailer promised a whole the game trailer, it promised like a bunch of shit that was never in the game. Like you see the mark of the summoner, which is the hand. There's a hand, and they put the mark right there, dude's hand, to symbolize the mark of the summoner. And then you hear a voice in the background: "Find the summoner, stop him from releasing the dragon and challenging the gods." And then you get the game, and you find out there is no goddamn dragon. Challenge what god? Don't get me wrong, there are powers at play. There's evil that's lurking, but not what they said. This is in the background. This is men. This is kings. This is the status quo. But the summoner is living proof of the god Uruk. And the god Uruk is something of legend. But the summoner, who's not supposed to exist, and if he does exist, we wipe his ass out of existence. And then we fix all this shit, which that's kind of what's going on in the game. So that's the issue that needs to be dealt with. The game was a very beautiful delivery and storytelling, in my opinion. You don't just write out a story. You really have to fucking Star Wars this shit. You got to have the universe. They had the universe, they had the kingdoms, they had the characters, they had the magic, they had where the magic comes from, they had the summoner, what the summoner's whole part in this is. The fucking game story had their own religion. It's not the only game that's ever done that, but it's not many out there. There's an established religion. There's a church that they have to answer to. The church follows this god versus the motherfuckers on the other side, Summoner 2, and they worship the god on the other side. And this side says that this god got betrayed by this god, and then shit happened. And then the other side says this god was betrayed by this guy, and then they live under that god while they live under this god. But the summoner is supposed to be the reincarnation of that to be brought back to life, and enter Joseph the summoner. And they had that shit down to a science. And they even had the voice actors, the zealotry of these religious nuts, and how they did not want the summoner to exist. Too much to explain, but it was a beautiful delivery. I suggest you play it. It's on Steam. Let me know in the comments if you've ever played this. I'm sure some of you have. Tell me what you think. I love it.